So we're calling to order the Historic District Commission and the Historic Commission. We're going to get a quorum of the Historic Commission. And this meeting is being recorded in accordance with open meeting law. So I think, even though we have the District Commission, we should open a public hearing for 6 Elm Street. So if someone wants to make a motion to open a public hearing for proposed certificate of appropriateness for 6 Elm Street. Yeah.
I'll make a motion. Open hearing for 6 Elm Street.
And then is there a second?
Second.
So I guess all in favor.
Aye.
So I'll just read the notice. Notice is hereby given under the Town amended Massachusetts General Bylaws, Chapter 30, Section 7, Historic District Bylaw, of a public hearing to consider issuing a certificate of appropriateness for installation of a 4.5-foot wooden fence around the rear and side yard of 6 Elm Street, Mendon, located within the Mendon Center Historic District. Property in question is owned by Terrence D. and Barbara J. Moore. The public hearing is scheduled for February 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Take place in the Town Hall. And then meeting be held in hybrid format, both in person or attendance. Anybody unable to attend can submit comments by writing. We have not received any. I did get one phone call asking for more information, which I sent her the info, but didn't get anything back, so. I assume they're all set once they show up. So I believe the applicant is here if you want to explain what you're looking to do. And you can share your pictures if you want.
Yes, I'm Terrence Moore, and we've recently moved to Mendon from New Jersey just before Christmas. We have a rather vigorous puppy named Seamus, who is mostly a clean water coonhound, and that dog has been trained mostly as a hunting dog, and our Seamus learned his lesson by very, very curious, very willing to run after anything that walks in his path. So we in New Jersey had a fenced-in yard for him. He's a very gentle dog, actually. What we're proposing to the commission is a simple wooden kind of cattle horse fence. It depends on which part of the country you're from, I think, as to what it might be called. It does have wire mesh, but we hope that that was consistent with at least my reading of the fencing regulatory policies of the commission, that it shouldn't be a monstrosity of vinyl or whatever the case may be. We think this will blend into our property. And if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer. I want to, first of all, thank the chair and the commission for expeditiously scheduling this hearing for this application. I happen to be a former director of the state and federal commission, and I can tell you I would never have been able to achieve that in my works. But if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I think so. This is the picture you sent of what you're proposing.
Yeah, it's great.
Get this in.
You do my own too.
And then, I guess, I don't know how much of this is within our purview, but this is kind of a sketch showing where you're gonna put it.
Yeah, and the reason I would have preferred to have the entire fence in the back of the dwelling, but unfortunately the previous owners or owners prior to that built this wonderful curvy deck that goes to the side of the building. So to close off an area, I have to go a bit with the side yard and then go back and come back to a portion of the structure. There is a small barbecue shed which has a wall that will be used as part of fencing. Three entranceways, one by the side front, one by the porch and the little shed, and then a slightly larger one toward the rear, looking across the properties for riding mower access to that location.
I think our just So we haven't really looked at any fences yet. Our guidance just, yeah, I'll put it up on the screen, just, we can check and see, because it's helpful too sometimes, like if something comes up in this discussion that we want to amend this, but it just says it should be appropriate in the architectural style and scale of the building. It's worth noting, so this fence does not require a building permit. So that once they get approved from us, that's all they need.
That's only 4 feet.
Yeah.
So huge.
I don't know if anybody else has any comments or anything.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
I am too.
Good to,
Better than having the dog.
Bruce.
It's a scene, that's for sure.
I think if you want to make a motion to close the public hearing,
I move to close the public hearing.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
And then if someone wants to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness for this proposal,
I make a motion to issue the certificate of appropriateness for this proposal.
Second.
so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so it's approved. This will go in the computer, and then I'll mail you a copy of the certificate at some point. I think Deb wanted to sign them. I have to send it to her so she can sign electronically. So I'm the vice chair of the district, so he's the chair.
Thank you very much.
You guys are
We feel welcomed.
Thank you for. And it looks like Christina's online, so we do have a quorum of the commission, which is great. So then we can hear the other project. So this is a demolition delay hearing for the Historic Commission. So I guess if someone wants to make a motion to open a public hearing for a demolition delay for 12 Blackstone Street.
Motion to open demolition delay hearing
Yeah.
for 12 Blackstone.
Exactly. All right, and then is there a second?
Second.
All right, so all in favor? So again, I'll abbreviate the notice. So notice is hereby given under the town amended general bylaws, chapter 33, section 4.2 of the demolition delay public hearing to consider the demolition of a steel barn of unknown age located at 12 Blackstone Street, Mendon, Mass. Hearing is scheduled for tonight, etc. We do not receive any comments on this. This one's a little interesting. It turns out that this property is not on our local list of inventory of properties. However, it's part of the Mendon Center National Historic District. They drew a big line on the map, and it encompasses this property because I think it also encompasses some of the farmland. So technically, it would require our review and approval. So again, I think the applicants are here if they want to share what they're looking to do, and then I have a bunch of pictures we can share with Lauren.
Like to tear it down.
I think
It's an eyesore.
it sounds like it's, oh, there's Kathy too, so it sounds like it's of unknown age. It's a metal barn, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of information on it.
Shelley Vincent used to store some of his antique vehicles there.
It's in
Or maybe fire.
poor condition to the point that I'm surprised it's still standing, to be quite honest. I think it's actually the condition I'm surprised the building department hasn't ordered it taken down, and I kind of thought that's where it was going when John got involved with his emails,
Yeah.
but then he didn't say anything. Let me figure out how to share this. Hang on, I had it open. Come on. Sorry, give me a minute. I have to open the pictures and then tell it to share the window, right? There we go. So they set some, and then I actually went today and took a few more. It's interesting, it's like steel trusses that are riveted. So I think that means it's fairly old. And then these posts are telephone poles, but they're giant.
Fun to get rid of.
Like almost like transmission lines.
That's not the one that was Merrill's. No, it's, you know where Joe and,
Right across the street.
across the street.
Yeah, wasn't that Barrows's one? after Barrows's barn burned down? Didn't Barrows put that
Yes,
up?
yes, and then Sullivan's.
They put that up, yeah. There was a barn there before the burn. Yeah.
In that very spot.
So that, maybe that's what we're talking about, with like this really nice old beams.
And that was
They
Barrows's
were covered
when it
stuff.
burned.
How long ago, do you know? Do you know how long ago?
Just curious.
It was before my time.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 1960.
Oh.
Oh, it is.
1960, because I looked up there just down the street,
That's it.
1960
Is
on.
that a telephone pole with a number?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, we're trying to look.
Those usually have
So-
the
Telephone poles with numbers
trackers
on
on
them.
them, they tell you where the pole was harvested.
Right.
I wish we could figure out where these, New England Telegraph and
Yeah,
something,
there's a database of those somewhere.
But they're big, they look like
They're
transmission
huge and
poles.
they're very hard to get anybody to take them for disposal. Good luck.
Well, there is somebody I know that can take them.
Yeah, because they're coated in creosote and so
Yeah.
like your average.
But they use them for, what did Andy say they use them for?
Well, I know, we do the same with parks where like like you can get them, but you have to sign some document saying you never put them in the ground
Because of
again.
the tree, so.
Yeah.
They can do things that we can't do.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a lot of nice old wood in there though.
The
Like
bomb.
reclaimed stuff.
yeah, and that, Kathy, I don't know if you have any idea of how, like, if they were to demolish this, would there be like an interest in like selling those beams?
You know, you might talk to Alan Tatro. He is very good at scrap metal and, beam, beam collecting.
Kind of the sawmill on,
Yeah.
like sometimes somebody with the sawmill, if the beams don't have nails in them.
Yeah, but you have a company that'll take it down?
We're looking into it, yeah.
Because they'll probably want the metal, right? Scrap
That's a
metal
lot,
values
a
high.
lot of
Yeah.
metal trusses and.
I just want to, so in terms of the 4 standards that we would look at, so any building or structure, a portion thereof, which in whole or in part is 75 years or more or is of unknown age. So I think it just barely meets that. It probably, I don't know, 40s, 50s. It's, it seems like they wouldn't have built something out of steel before the war.
No, it was after the war. I
No,
know
so if
that.
it burned in the 60s.
I know
then
that,
it'd be
yeah. So it's later.
Post 1960.
Then it's even.
I'm pretty sure it was in the 60s, I'm pretty sure we were.
Did the whole thing burn? It did?
In fact, I think they lost cattle.
Oh.
And then, so the next one is the building or structures associated with events or activities that have made a significant contribution to the history of the town, the state. Or the third one is associated with the life of a person. And then the fourth one would be the building or structure embodies, either by itself or in context, like the style, architecture. So I don't know, I mean, to me, it seems like it might just barely meet some of these, but given its condition,
Really?
I think any opportunity to preserve it has, at this point,
Goes fast.
there's not much left. I mean, I would see no benefit to me in imposing any sort of delay. Another 9 months isn't gonna change anything. So I don't know, I mean, it would be nice if there was a way to recycle anything, or, if you do find any of historic value, let us know, and it'd be good to document that.
Mhm.
So. I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts, or you wanna close the hearing?
Do you think there's anything historic in that?
Fred's buried in it.
Who
Fred's buried in it.
knows? No, I don't think so. You?
What?
No,
No.
no.
Alright, so then, I guess if someone wants to make a motion to close the public hearing,
Make a motion to close public hearing on Blackstone Street?
okay, and then second,
I'll second that.
and then all in favor?
Aye.
Schofield, aye.
Oh, and then, are you able to hear us, Christina, too?
Yes, sorry, I,
No, I forgot, we probably should take a roll call vote, or just make sure that we've documented that technically.
Do you want to?
Yeah, well, for the next one we'll do it. I mean, we're all here, but- So then, the next motion, if we're so inclined, would be to find this property not historically significant and, what's the exact wording, hang on. Yeah, not historically significant and shall not be preserved. So demolition can move forward.
Okay. You want me to make a motion to?
Yeah, just say like so moved if you agree with that.
So moved.
Just clean up the wording. And then-
Deborah,
And is there
should
a
write it
second?
down. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I guess, so all in favor of the roll call vote? So Dan, aye.
Oh, sorry, aye.
Karen,
But then,
Schofield,
Kathy?
aye.
Christina, I.
all right, so it passes, so we will close this out in our system. And then I don't know if you apply, you have to apply for a demolition permit.
Okay.
When you actually go to demolish it.
Okay, well, that's how I found out about this.
Yeah, and then when you do, or maybe it's in there then, when you do, it'll get flagged and we'll close it all out, but do you already have maybe you already have a permit.
I think
You're
I,
right, okay. I'll check.
and it got flagged.
I think, yeah, is this it? No, there's no,
There isn't.
oh, is it? Why are these in reverse order? Sorry. Yeah, there's no permit for demolition, that's solar.
Okay,
So when you're ready to demolish it, you'll have to do that, but then, so they will pop up again, but then we'll just post this to
Okay.
you.
okay, okay.
Cool.
And I missed.
Oh, yeah. Is that,
Okay.
yep. All right,
We're all set?
yes.
Okay.
We're gonna help.
sledgehammer.
Right here.
Bye, thank you. Bye. Oh, no, it's that ugly building.
All right, so then, in terms of normal stuff, I think there weren't any minutes. Like, you didn't say anything, Kathy?
No, I didn't get the minutes
Okay.
from our last meeting.
I didn't see any. And I know, if we want to just quickly go through the rest of this, so I put record room update. I think the only update, so I have met with now 4 HVAC contractors, because we have to get pricing for a project in town hall, an issue next door, and then I've asked them for a quote to install an inline dehumidifier. Clean, or it sounds like it might be easier to just replace the ductwork because it's so minimal. So we're waiting, I think I got a few responses, I'm waiting for one more response, and then I'm gonna bring everything to Jeremy for the town hall. So hopefully at our next meeting, we'll have a number. It looked like it's not gonna be terrible, a couple $1,000s, which we could pay for either from the surplus in the project or from the historic account. And I don't know, I have not heard anything back about the flooring. I also have not really taken a lot of time to try to contact them again. I don't know. Kathy, you didn't hear anything from them, did you?
No, I haven't heard anything. Hazel, did you say that you knew somebody that does the flooring?
I did, I mean, I know a couple historic carpenter people. So it depends on, whatever you decide you wanna do with it. If you wanna salvage the existing flooring, I'm assuming that's what you mean.
Yeah, it's like maybe 90% of it needs to get put back with a few bits and filled
It's
in.
like a little
but
bit of,
It just was so now the subfloor's done, they can properly relay it. And then I think one of the companies that came out did recommend potentially spray foaming the entire basement.
no.
I don't think you wanna close in that,
Oh, Lord.
that.
Don't ever
field
do that. You know that they quit insuring buildings in England that have spray foam in them.
Oh, you were saying that?
Yeah, it's now like insurance companies won't insure
Now
a
it's
structure
bad.
with spray foam because you can't see what's rotten underneath.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be the new asbestos. Don't spray foam.
Because we may need to still get a plug-in dehumidifier for the basement, because the HVAC is just
So ridiculous,
upstairs.
yeah.
And the other recommendation I got is as part of this, we want to close in that bulkhead, like some sort of foam door, or like something, so it's not just a steel.
If it's got foam in it.
Well, like a piece of foam board you wouldn't use, and like it's in the,
Really
yeah,
historic preservation purist. Sorry.
yeah.
But I can find some names of carpenters that could.
Which are to build like an inner door to kind of keep the outside of it.
It's like a wooden door.
Yeah.
Has it been
It's,
insulated?
they didn't do any insulation, they just did,
And leave it.
but it's dry, it's completely dry. There's a little bit of water that leaks in the corners, there's water that comes through the field stone, like you can see it coming in, but
That's normal.
that's not, I mean, the sump pit is empty,
Well, we,
so that's awesome.
a few years ago, some of us, when we were on the commission, attended a workshop about insulating historic structures.
Yeah,
They do
some
not recommend hermetically sealing them. They need to breathe, otherwise they'll rot.
And I did get told by multiple people, those covers over the heat pumps are too low,
Okay,
and that we should either, although they've been working just fine for all those years, so.
well, it was better than the $3,000 electric bill.
One guy said a roofer might be able to put something to keep the ice from building up there, so it doesn't fall on it, or we may just want to extend them. It wasn't critical.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
Extend it.
We still have to figure out the gutters, but yeah, so there's not much going on with that, I think. Hopefully we can look into it. And then the other things, the two other things on the agenda for both commissions are, the letter we got about Hastings Street, and then discussing, I think, Christina wants to discuss the proposed bylaws
Mhm.
and get feedback. So I don't know which one of those you want to tackle first.
What's Hastings Street?
So the Hastings, the proposed, the letter
Subdivision.
with the proposed grocery store and the houses on Washington Street.
Hmm,
So that whole project, I mean, there's not much to, at this point, so the developer, because of the scope of the project, it triggered NEPA, which is a state review process. One of those reviewers was the State Historic Commission, and so they sent a letter, it's similar to what they sent last time.
It's just like a rubber stamp letter.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't even think they review anything. I wanna send in a proposal that's like, I wanna build 100-foot dinosaur with laser eyes and carnival lights, and is that a problem? And see if they reject it. I'd like to know what their criteria for rejecting anything.
And I know you said you called and left a message.
I did,
I sent an email just
the
to say, I'd love to,
Brona sign.
if you can explain like what your criteria is on how, I mean, they did, to their credit, so what they basically said is that it's up to us. So this project will come to us when they apply for historic district delay, and if we approve it, they have no issue with it.
I did say it was disappointing
Yeah,
that they did not, have a negative.
It didn't seem like they really read it and carefully went over it and thought about it, and it just seemed like they were, just send them one of these.
Well, I think the people that used to, I used to contact Chris Skelly, and he was terrific. I mean, he was right there and very involved. And I don't even know if, Michael Steinitz and,
I don't know,
Holtz are there.
Holtz is still there.
Is he?
Holtz, I think he's like way up. There's the gentleman we worked with in the record room. There's this Jen Doherty that's been a big help. Of course, she's leaving now.
She's
the
leaving,
district.
right? Yeah.
And then this Josh Doran is like this, his name was in the last one. Yeah, I don't know, I would like to know like what, because I wonder how much authority they have. Like, I don't know if they can look at the whole project or if they're only looking at this little historic part of it. So they don't care what he's building next door. But I don't know
Well,
what power they do or don't have to say anything.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but I think they don't though, because when the Silas Dudley house
that's,
came down, there was a cease and desist order on that. So they couldn't stop it from coming down, but they had the authority, because it was on a state road, to go in and, anyway.
and I did,
And they did nothing.
yeah,
I mean, they tore it down anyway, and they did not do anything.
I did send an email to the developer and basically said, listen, this is gonna need to come to us for approval. We want to, we'd like to work with you and get this done and not have it wait till the last minute. And I don't think I think I had a read receipt, but I didn't get a response.
They're gonna wait till the last minute. It benefits them to wait till the last minute. They don't wanna give us time
You
to
know,
create
Well, I
ruckus.
think it'd be interesting to know how old the barn is. I started with the preservation, then the deeds, and sometimes they'll say in buildings, or sometimes they'll indicate there's a barn. Be
yeah.
nice to know, I mean, that is really a nice barn.
What's the barn? I mean, the house, they say they're gonna fix up and keep it, and so it's just whatever they
Why do
do.
they want to demo the barn?
That's the question.
Because they want another house.
No, they want, but the question is, could the barn be restored into a house and keep the shell?
Why?
Which, well, because they wanna preserve the history of the town, and I think,
No, I mean, why do they need another house?
yeah.
No, they wanna maximize.
What
the
they,
real estate
what they
value.
really want is, I think what they're actually going for is access onto Washington Street.
That's not what their plans say.
Yeah, but that, they try to
They can't
railroad
change
it later, like, well, look at the problems we're creating with traffic, we really need this second access. Everything is always like delay and then,
I
Right.
think, I mean, it'd
Yeah.
be interesting to ask the state. I don't think they've been very clear that they are not gonna have any access other than emergency access. I think the housing is gonna have access off Washington, but there's no connection to 16,
yeah, it's just
Yeah,
gonna,
well,
that's gonna be
we'll
a
see.
you
rigmarole.
know?
We'll see.
Oh, and speaking of that, I did reach out to Jeremy about I didn't put it on the agenda, about Route 16. He said he thought the woman from the state would come meet with us.
That would
But
be
then I
great,
haven't heard any
so
more.
many questions about the monuments and
Yeah,
where are they going and how are they gonna treat them and like,
so I'll bug him again and find out if we can set that up. 'Cause-
I mean, I got a lot of information just on my
Yeah.
property about like, I asked for a vibration study, they are gonna do it, and like, they're gonna come and photo document the historic plaster before and after. Of course, like, if it's damaged, it's kind of, well, then what? You know,
Then they
you're gonna
pay
sue
for
the
repair.
state, you know, it's just.
So where do you live?
I live in the house that's right next to Fan's Park.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
The traffic is.
I know, it's
It's like,
unbelievable.
my neighbours also, like, we're just like, our houses are shaking all the time because of the trucks that run breakneck speed.
So that just leaves the bylaws, if you wanna share with us. I don't know if you have drafts or what you,
Yeah, the draft hasn't been started yet. I wanted to touch base with everyone first and I guess get some notes as to what we want to see or any definitive points for the scenic road protection, anything with stone wall. I know we were looking for historic stone wall protection. And then tree clearing also did come up, but we can try something with that, but I don't think it's going to be widely favored from the impression that I got at the meeting with like a select board member coming, and just it sounds like that's going to be more complicated because I don't think the town's going to want to take the battle on with the developers that would be against having to regulate their tree clearing because it's much more profitable just to take it all down. But yeah, I don't know if we want to just kind of have some major points that I could then draft, because it's sounding like these areas are more going to be in, I guess, like my court, but also ours, because they know it's mostly coming from a historic point of view.
yeah, so I mean, we did try and redraft the scenic road bylaw.
I
So,
thought it did protect trees and stone walls and.
yeah, so the goal here is to come up with something that works. So sorry, Kathy,
I thought it.
No, I wanted Christina, has Ian Mazar been involved in this at all?
She came to one of our meetings. She wasn't at the last one, but it was the one before that. She didn't have, she didn't come to the meeting really super prepared with many things for us. That was something that she wanted to, it was more like a touch base. And then it sounded like she was going to go back and revisit things to discuss with us. But she also was kind of putting it more like on myself and our area, I would say.
yeah, so the problem with the current scenic road bylaw is basically fundamentally flawed. And basically, as it's written, it pretty much only applies to work that's happening in the context of road work. It does not regulate what somebody does on their own property. It's got a ton of loopholes in it.
Ah, okay.
And so we came up with a thing and tried something, and I think it maybe didn't get through town council, or we ended up pulling it. So the hope would be to try and look at other towns and draft some language that is enforceable. So I mean, it's not like, I don't, like, you're here and stuff, so maybe we can think about like the issues we've had in the past, like with stone walls. But trying to find a process to at least regulate what happens with them. I don't know if anybody
I
else
haven't gone on and looked at other, I have like a few bookmarked. I haven't dedicated too much time to it at the moment, but I do have some pulled from other towns to sort of kind of bounce off of. The way it stands right now, it's going to depend on timing wise if this hits the May town meeting. I think it's just if we can come up with, or I mean, I can definitely come up with the draft and then present it, I'd say to us first and then to the general bylaw review committee. But whether that happens before May, because everything needs to be in, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, is it April or is it March that everything needs to be submitted?
Probably April and March.
Okay, yeah. So whether or not it gets on May, it'll definitely be on November. So I don't know if it's better to rush or if we wanted to kind of take the time and then wait. And because if it doesn't really matter if it's May or November, it's just whatever we get done as a committee before May or April, whenever things need to be submitted is what's going to appear for May.
Yeah, Christina, there tends to be a lot of pushback on bylaws. To be doing it in the November STM because they don't feel as though they get enough solid representation from the community at those meetings. So chances are they're going to push all of these through at an annual. The other thing is, I had a gentleman call about a barn foundation, a stone barn foundation, and he was very concerned that the property owner next door was going to take it down because it was partly on his property and partly on the other person's property. And, I don't know, it would be unfortunate to lose some of these gorgeous foundations because, they really, they are timepieces for our community. And I don't know if there's anything that's been written about that in other proposals, but we might want to include that as well.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see if other towns have touched that. When I start really digging into the research for everything else, I know that we're coming from a historic point of view, so we're definitely going to want it to be a little bit more, not like stricter, but we want obviously like preservation. Whereas the impression that I'm getting from the other individuals on the committee and just like their perspective presenting it to the community is it doesn't really sound like they want things that are going to be, I don't want to say strict, but I don't know, like even just with, like I said, with the tree clearing, like it doesn't really sound like there are particular battles that they're really willing to go after. So I think it'll be a delicate dance for how we want to, like whatever we finalize and like what I can submit with them, I think it's going to be, I don't know if it'll be met with pushback or not.
I think we
Yeah,
also
well,
have to focus, Kathy, this is Jane, focus on the things that are most important. And when I'm not discounting the cellar holes, the foundations, but it's sort of preventing people from using their property the way they might be able to use it. And I don't know, I know the foundation of the barn up on North Avenue where David grew up goes below the ground. So if that were an open situation, it could be also a hazard. So I guess, I don't know, I think focusing on the stone walls and the trees, if it goes too broad, it maybe defeated anyway, but do you know what I mean?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I know there's a big cellar hole or a couple in town forest that exist, but,
Well, one of the ideas I think that we had last time around, which I think we stole from another town, was the idea of like a scenic road layout. So you have an area that you draw up a plan, here's the stone wall, there's these trees, there's potentially this, foundation. And then that goes to town meeting and becomes a protected area. And, the thought was that you could designate specific areas that we're concerned about. But if it involves somebody's property, that could get tricky and be a little different than just saying, Blackstone Street's a scenic road, because that's a public road. But I think that was the idea last time, was to try and designate areas, or maybe we can just rewrite this to be a little broader than just work during road work.
Now, does the state have anything to say about that? Because I know you can't do what they call the Swiss cheese in terms of houses.
I don't know, so the problem here, and I think, there's scenic roads and there's a specific statute that enables some things. So what we're trying to do maybe beyond what's a quote scenic road.
Of course, I haven't been around, so I apologize to everyone that I haven't been here.
But we haven't done much with this until for a while. The town has formed this bylaw committee to start working on these things. But I think, really the intent of scenic road was to say like, you're gonna turn Blackstone Street into Route 16 and do a 2-lane highway, that sort of a situation. Whereas I think our concern is more like smaller developments or trying to find ways to like, okay, build it, but keep the stone wall. Like you can do both.
Well, if it's a boundary stone wall,
Yeah.
they're really not allowed to take it down.
Which I know people that have.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
So the town forming these bylaw committee, what is the purpose? Like, what is their intention in these committee?
I think the intent, we get a grant to review our zoning bylaw. So they formed a committee to work on going through the zoning bylaw.
Okay.
And then I think there was a push to do the same with the general bylaw and just go through, maybe Christina can explain, just go through like top to bottom and.
Are they trying to write, we came out with that sort of town plan, like the survey planning thing.
Yeah.
Are they trying to reconcile it with the master plan data or no?
I think so. I don't know if you, maybe Christina, want to answer that better since you've been at the meetings.
Yeah, so overall, it's definitely a top to bottom review. We've started from the beginning and we kind of just break it up in chunks for each meeting. And it's just reviewing the language, seeing if anything's outdated or if things are kind of ambiguous to the point where they're ineffective. And we're trying to redraft and kind of fill in the holes for everything top to bottom. And then it's major things like that the select board, if they have particular ones, like if someone's come to them with issues, that they kind of expedite to us to reframe. I know like one of the major ones that they have coming down the line for May is, and they're being really pushy about it, is a noise bylaw in town. And that's definitely going to be on the agenda for May. We have a meeting this coming Wednesday night, and then I know the 26th, I will not be there, but I'm pretty sure they're going to try to hold a public hearing for the noise bylaw. So it's just things that either the community really wants or the select board wants clarification on. And then beyond that, we're just doing like straight through top to bottom.
Okay, so you're not using the master plan and trying to marry the master plan to new bylaws or adjustments. You're just looking at what you have and updating that.
Right. Yeah. We're not comparing. It's literally just the booklet of bylaws that we have, and we're reviewing what's already on there. And then any new ones that either I'd have to find out. It's somewhere on the website. I think it's on our particular webpage. I had nothing to do with implementing it, so that's why I'm not sure exactly where it is. But there's almost like a community form that people can go in and submit things for as well, if they'd like to see either a bylaw questioned or changed or then added as well.
It makes me wonder though, what was the point of the master
The
plan?
zoning review, that is the one that is looking at master plan.
So,
I mean, I think
it
in the
seems
end-
like zoning, master plan and bylaws should be all hand in glove.
Yeah.
Like
those
the
are-
master plan kind of gives a roadmap for what the community would like to see, and then the bylaws and the zoning implement that.
I know in the end of the master plan, there's a whole list of recommendations, and I do think I had heard that also somebody saying that there should be like a master plan committee
Yeah,
then figure out how to implement the master plan.
which would be through zoning and bylaws.
I don't know if we've quite gotten there
This is
yet.
number 4 master plan that
I know.
none of which have ever been.
Well, this is the first, this one's done, we have a document, it was approved by the planning board, this is our master plan, so I think,
Does it
This is the
cost
farthest
money
we've
to
got.
do
Well-
that? Like, how much does the master plan cost the town to do?
I don't know, I think we've been, so we had Central Mass Regional Planning,
Mhm.
they've gotten grants from them and they do a lot of work. I feel like we got a grant that paid for that initial drafting and it's paying for this work.
Okay, so you've got, money's been spent on the
Yeah.
master plan is finalized, but no one's implementing what's the data from the master plan into these other functions.
What I see, so like, we just got Jeremy on board, now it's been months now, but I think that's been helpful. And then next door, you have a planner, whereas with Jack and Dylan both, so I think, and I agree with you, but I think we're very slowly making progress. But there's like 20,000 of these things that have to get done and they're all in limbo. I mean, like there was, technology policies and capital planning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just, it would be nice to see these things, like, instead of being disjointed things where you use the master plan as your sort of North Star principle to choose bylaws that you're going to implement and to make zoning policy, because the master plan is whatever the community has spoken, and that is what they've asked for. So making bylaws and zoning that don't conform to that is like telling your community that you don't care about your voice,
I mean, I think that's the goal here. I don't know what's in the master plan that's specific to general versus zoning.
I kind of read
General's
it
more
over. It was, there is a lot that could,
Yeah.
that moves laterally through these different spheres.
Try to find the document. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what makes it from this bylaw committee to the final. I mean, it's probably a pretty tight turnaround to get to this May.
I feel like I could almost take the master plan and go through it and pull out what would make sense as bylaws from the master plan. Like, because the data's there, like, people in the plan say, here's our, this is our preference for X over X. Well, then you would have a bylaw to reconcile that. And this is our plan for this type of development over this type of development. Then you would have zoning that conforms that.
I just want to add as well that, if you look at the foundation of scenic road bylaws, they are designed to protect and preserve the natural and historic character of certain roadways. So, when we discuss cutting down trees and taking out stone walls, they are at high risk, for being lost. And the objective is to protect that sense, that feel as you go down a roadway. So, I think we give a lot of leeway to builders and developers here in this community. I mean, pretty much nobody says no to anything. And, I think being firm with people and, helping people understand why it's important to keep, public shade trees and, things like that. I mean, builders can work around that. I understand, yes, it comes at a cost, but, we're talking about 100-year-old plus trees. I have a real issue with that. So I don't have 100 years to see any of these replanted. That's what I'm saying.
I think maybe if the case is made to the community that their property values will be adversely affected by the way the community is perceived, like you drive through the community, if it looks like, anywhere USA strip clear development, that's gonna, you're in a community, like we all know communities that you drive through like that and the property value is quite low. And then you drive through somewhere like Dover, who's maintained all these things and the property values are sky high. So you have to choose, like, do I care about my property values or do I care about, like this developer's coming in with a short term, this is cheaper for him investment. In the long term, it hurts his own investment because he's destroyed the character that might make his area appealing. So,
I wonder if there's a way, like, to talk about trees, to designate specific, again, things.
we've got like
I
a
don't know.
tree person and then
Yeah.
like a tree warden, like maybe they could like have a slideshow of some of their most significant trees in Mendon.
Or like a definition of, I don't
Like, I don't know this person, maybe they're not a slideshow person.
know, no, he's not.
Maybe he could be accompanied by
Like
a
I'm-
high school student.
I'm looking at
Slideshow.
There is a
Google,
lot
like,
of language in the bylaws that explain, what a public shade tree is. And that falls under the Public Shade Tree Act of Massachusetts. And it gives, a lot of them give dimensions and general health and sighting. So, I think we should probably, take advantage of that language as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just be as simple as removing that provision that, is right in the opening that says, no, it says, where is it? The effective designation of a scenic road is that planning board approval is required before trees can be removed or stone walls can be torn down or destroyed, if this is done in connection with repair, maintenance, or reconstruction or paving a scenic road.
Yeah, that
Should be
if just negated the
So,
whole thing.
right, so maybe just getting rid of that is enough, and, of course, the enforcing body for this is the planning board, so then we need to work
Right,
with
it
them
needs
to
to be the historic.
actually, or find a way to partner with them.
And I think that was the
Projects
other point, was that we
works.
were trying to be included in the decision-making. Because the planning board wasn't always informed of the scenic road bylaw. They don't really follow it. So, is there a way to weave the historic commission into the decision-making?
Kind of look at what Shade Tree Act says. All trees within a public way are on the boundaries thereof. So as long as they're within like the road right of way. And then of a certain size, I assume. Yeah, I mean, I haven't followed the most recent projects, but I'm maybe with now that we have some planning staff, maybe they're in a better position to enforce these things.
We had Isabella from Conservation come to the last meeting as well to discuss just things about a tree was a big thing that she talked about, tree clearing. And that's when I got the impression that the, I guess, consensus would be to not really, I don't know, like rock that boat, I guess, in less about the historic and like the scenic roadway ones, but more just in general tree clearing people's properties and bigger with the developers. And I know that left off, she was going to take a look into that piece of it. So I know we're looking at it from historic, but overall, I think they're trying to mesh it all together too. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. The impressions that I get at least are they don't want to make anything, I don't know, I guess it's typical with Mendon that they don't really want to start making any big, I don't want to say demands, but they're very concerned about public perception. And if it's anything too strong, they're thinking it's not even going to pass or be worth it. So I don't know.
That's kind of surprising. Who do they expect the pushback to come from? The select board or? I would
Planning
think
board.
most people would want to preserve trees in
They're
their
expecting the
neighborhood.
pushback to be from just like the community members when these go to vote.
Yeah,
I think,
I don't know if I buy
when they're
that.
talking tree clearing, I think they were looking potentially at bylaws to say that you can't just clear cut 10 acres of land versus individual trees, which that, I could see being aggressive. But yeah, I don't know, it seems like the voters are open to these sort of things that align with kind of keeping Mendon
I
looking a
think so
certain way.
Yeah, I think they are dead wrong.
More recent votes have
Yeah.
been very interesting to me, that things that would have failed were passing by overwhelming majorities. I think things have changed.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's a big lag between the people and the
Yeah.
planning, and they have a perception that the community doesn't want any restrictions. They want to go whole hog, let's tear it up, build it. All they care about is financial progress, and that is not it. You know,
I agree.
The people want to preserve their quality of life.
Yeah, no, I think there's a vocal group, but I think they're more of the minority lately. I mean, some of these land purchases fairly strongly support it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have to speak live for another meeting.
But I mean,
See you later.
Bye, keep them on Zoom.
Bye.
um,
Hi.
yeah, like I was looking at the street view of that property on North Ave just to see, they basically took down a stone wall and then built a big giant, so I don't know if that's something you can regulate or how you do that. Or, I mean, the same thing's gonna happen, what is their plan for the corner North Ave lot? When they build, or the Fino land there, I'm trying to look at the map again, are they gonna remove those stone walls and do whatever, or keep them? It would be nice to see that remain.
Well,
I think the
it's
stone walls are part of the state
Oh, good.
conservation strip. So they should
But-
be connected.
not, but that doesn't mean the state will do anything about it, Kathy.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
And you have to
you
be
know,
willing
instead
to
of
enforce
ask,
these
give them
things.
Yeah.
some permission.
Yeah, exactly, they all know that.
Yep.
I don't know, I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, I know we've had calls about people questioning where there's a historic stone wall in in the back of their property. Whether that's something we want to regulate or if we can regulate it.
Well, I think it
That's
depends
come
if it separates their property
Yeah.
from somebody else's. It's a border, stone wall and they cannot take it down.
Well, the one, I don't know if my mother had talked to somebody over on, Milford Street in the backyard has the old remains of the trolley layout, where it's not necessarily a property line, but it's something that potentially is historic, but then it's in the middle of the woods, so if somebody
Yeah.
decides to do something with it, can we regulate that? It seems like right now it's not regulated.
It's hard.
I don't know. I know that's come up, or the other one is that, I don't really count that staircase over by Nipmuc Drive
I
that's
thought
left over.
that was taken down.
I think
I
it's,
drove by.
I haven't looked that close I know they've been doing tons of work, but if they finally took that
I
out, they'll be able to leave.
Well, I'll look next time I go. I can just take a walk around there.
I don't know. This is probably old. Trying to remember what we talked about when we met and talked about the bylaw now.
I have let me scroll back. I had notes from that when we did that. Let me see if I can find them.
Just have our draft that we put together, and then it was just the scenic road layout. And if we said anything about historic anymore. I think we just clarified this change, it looks like we changed some of the considerations that planning board would use. I mean, and there's new members of the planning board too, so maybe their things are more open to having conversations about some of this stuff. Because we can work with these developers. We don't have to just say no, but we can do both things. While she's doing that, if anybody has any comments on these annual reports, I need to submit these.
Oh, yeah.
I think the only real question I had is if we wanted to say anything else about the Mile of Fair property. Just because I know Kathy.
That was
had
a Cape Road, right?
Yeah, Kathy had done that last time and tried to just, be like, hey, we lost this property and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. by neglect, right? I mean, it wasn't a neglected property, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was an idea to move it that failed,
Yeah.
probably partially due to
Sure.
politics, and
Yeah.
then
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's disappointing that the soccer, you know, I mean, you know, easy for us to say, but it would have been nice if they kept the whole thing and they could have renovated that into like a clubhouse or something,
Mhm.
but
Not just that, but there was one shed in the back that was
they had water.
Yeah.
old and,
But for whatever reason that, you know, they
Yeah.
didn't do that. I mean, I know Lonnie did tell, he came to a water meeting, but he did say he was gonna try and preserve the granite posts and things and use everything he could. And it'd be nice, that one, and same with the corner. I think hopefully if that applicant comes, you know, if they're gonna build on that corner, it'd be nice to build something at least that's reminiscent of what was there. It's a big ugly modern building.
they're not gonna put the great big warehouse there.
The warehouse is in the back.
Warehouse is there.
It's, you can see it on,
It's already there.
um,
Oh, it's awful.
Hartford
Right, you
Ave.
see it down the airport,
Yeah,
right? If
I
you
didn't
look
realize
to
it
the
was so
right.
big.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about that one, I'm talking about the one that was,
At 35 Cape, that'll be like, I don't know what exactly, it's like I almost would call it an office building more than a warehouse, but like a
well, I don't
pseudo
know.
commercial
I thought it
space.
was supposed to be, for small businesses to store there. That was the last I heard, but,
Yeah, I don't know what the current proposal, so the current proposal for 35 Cape is, Lonnie is involved, and it's some sort of like I think similar to what a World Band is,
okay.
like a commercial space, not with garages. And then the corner property, the Dick Skinner house, I've been hearing rumors of a bank or a gas station. But,
Another gas station?
yeah, the gas station, next to a gas station across the street from the gas station. I don't know.
Talk about an historic house.
Yeah.
Well, that is so stupid because there was nothing wrong with the house.
No, I know.
They tore it down, then let it go so long,
They let it go
so
so
you
long.
couldn't rebuild it because it was grandfathered, like it lost its status as a residential property because it's commercial. So now you can't rebuild, you can't have water because you can't have commercial use of water. The person that bought it basically bought something that's not all that great. And it's a shame.
Wow.
And all that time, you could have left it standing and rented it out or something,
Well, they opened the windows, left the windows.
you know?
Yeah, why do they do that?
The other house was
That's what they're
small.
doing. The Aiden Blue house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if that one, unfortunately, Hopedale, I don't think has too many protections. I do,
I'm talking about ours down here.
Main Street?
oh,
9 Main.
I don't know what the deal's with that. I don't know if anybody, we've tried to,
I mean, that's where
Email
Aiden Blue
them.
lived when he was
I'll have to ask
minister at the Unitarian
if he's
Church.
noticed any sign of activity, because it seems like he does want to restore that house and not just start over. But I think they're just, I mean, I don't know if they're in over their heads or what. It's like very, very slow progress. Like there was an electrical permit to like put some light fixtures outside that came to district like months ago.
Do they have the windows still open? I don't look anymore.
I don't know. But it's, yeah, I don't like, I don't know what the deal is with that.
Discouraging.
What's up here? Let's see if there's anything new.
That's okay.
Hang on, now I'm blue. This is a
Huh?
recorded meeting.
I know.
Um, let's see, yeah, I don't know. So were you able to find anything, Christina?
Yeah, so I have on the note I had particular towns put aside for comparison for what they did for stone walls. And then I have for our notes it was just protect street visible stone walls and then cannot be taken down, like they would need permission to make any sort of edits, like strengthening the language for that. And then let me see, there's one other thing. And then it was talking about how your idea of doing a road layout instead, also trying to explore that as well. Those were my notes from that night.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what we covered.
Yeah. I think overall, so my February is so busy, which is part of the reason why I'm not in person tonight, but this was going to be something I was going to try to tackle in March. And if the deadline for things is end of March, early April, I can't guarantee that I'll have it in for May because I definitely wanted to run it by everyone within like the commissions here first before then presented. So whether that all pans out in the month of March, I'm not sure. But either way, I will come up with drafts that I think we can sort of start to at least work with or tweak before presented to the actual bylaw review board.
Christina, I think that somewhere along the line, we started working on a draft, and I will see if I can dig that up. I also finally responded to your email saying I could make it on Wednesday, but I think I'd like a little time to talk to Anne and just gather my thoughts and review some of the bylaws that you had sent over and just reread them so I can refresh my brain. So
Perfect. Yeah, for Wednesday, we wanted you to come because we wanted to talk about the chapter 3, section 12, because and correct us if we're wrong. According to Carl's records, you were the sponsor of that bylaw, which is why they wanted we reached out to you to come. We're just looking to amend some of the language. And I guess we just wanted to hear from you, just because if you were one of the original ones to sponsor it, we just wanted to make sure, like, hear from your perspective before we move forward trying to edit any of the words or the language. But as far as the trees and anything on the historic, that doesn't have to be this coming Wednesday.
All right, so chapter 3, you know what? Email that to me because I don't have any recollection of that.
Is it not in the, I thought I did a snippet of it in the original email I sent you. Did it not attach?
No, I don't think it did.
Okay, I'll resend that because it's just totally separate. But when it does come down to anything for the trees and the historic, having like someone else besides just me, either like Kathy, Dan, anybody, I think it would be good to have our voices heard, because I definitely think we kind of get pushed to the side a little bit when these things try to move forward.
Oh, yeah.
So
typical.
Yeah.
All right. Send it again. Let me take a look and I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I'll dig around for some info for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Is there anything else that we didn't cover other than maybe picking another meeting date?
So are you gonna put anything else about in the annual report about that house, or? Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
Let me put what's there now. Hang on. This is the right one. So all it says right now is this.
Mhm.
Maybe I didn't say anything about it there, that's why. I guess we're gonna say something about that if somebody.
There was something about
Is
it
it?
there, is it just in the boxes?
Or did that happen, that happened this year, right? I
Um,
don't have these years mixed up.
24.
Commission, I wanna look at what we put last time. Annual report,
Oh, it flies by.
I know.
23.
For sure.
This says. Yeah, I don't know. So whatever, we don't have to say anything, or we can, in the.
What did Kathy think about that? Kathy, what did you think about putting something in about the house?
Oh, it's tricky because, it's unfortunately so far behind us now that, yeah, I don't know.
Or just leave it, I did put the listing of, here's everything we did.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking of in there.
So I don't know if we wanna keep this portion about the carriage house or not. then, if that's, maybe nobody's gonna read the thing.
I mean, I think it's important to see what's coming down, you know, that we're still losing structures.
So we have this chart, so,
And you should put in a section that says houses that were saved, and then we'll leave it empty.
0.
Yikes.
Sorry.
Well, I think it would be interesting to display that at some point, all the houses that have, historic
Yeah.
homes that have been destroyed in the last, I don't know how many years, but, you know, because we know that the Silas Dudley house, when that came down, that was the only reason he got a demolition bylaw.
well, that's,
Otherwise,
the applicants for 12 Blackstone, that's what they said to me when I went over there, is we were talking, he said, you know, oh, that, you know, those, when they took those houses down, that was terrible or something, like, people knew, you know, townwide knew about that. You know, and then here we are, however many years later, and it's a stupid, vacant, blighted lot. We have nothing to show for it,
I know.
when it's all done within a
Well, it's the
bank.
same thing with any lot he's taken.
And that's only because finally somebody else has taken it and now is gonna develop it. But,
Look at Milford, that was a nice house down there.
you know,
Oh, beautiful, yeah, across the street from the lot.
From the hospital.
Oh, my God.
It was just taken down.
Oh,
Just a
no.
blank.
Wiles house,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Bottles.
gonna- doctor's offices it was supposed to be.
Mhm.
you know, I don't know, from demo delay, I don't know, I mean, it'd be interesting to see from historic, or from district, I think we had a little more control over what can be done.
But we haven't extended it, I mean,
Right, well,
because,
that's, North
when
Ave, I
we,
think,
when
would
we
be
did
next.
it, I know Chris Skelly said most of them now at least 12 to 18 months, and that would never,
Well, especially, yeah, oh, yeah.
so.
You know, especially up North Ave, I think you will see further development, so at least if we can preserve that corridor, so, you know, build what you want off the road, but at least the stuff that's on the road remains,
Yeah,
you know, if they want to develop the farmland in the back, I guess, you know, but even that, I don't know how much control we have. So, anyway, all right, so there's that, and then the district one basically has nothing, unless somebody needs to say something else. I guess, so do we want to pick another date then?
do I have to look at it?
I can try and text them to confirm, I think. First, so the third Monday is St. Patty's Day. I think I had potential conflict that I put on my calendar yet. What's this? Day. That's okay, so that's that week, so that's fine, so we could, I don't know, the 10th, the 24th.
Either one's fine for me.
Yeah, me too.
The 10th might be better for me only because I think I'm likely to end up with a conflict on the 24th.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if there's much coming down the road, there'll probably be some more projects.
Okay.
Let me see if people respond or not, if she's got her phone handy. Does that work, 10th?
10th works for me.
I want to stick with that, at least then we have a date, if a hearing comes through, we can assign on that date and get it posted.
I can do the 10th.
I mean, that, the gentleman with the fence, that only worked out because I happened to be in the building department when he was asking about it. I was like, if you get this to me like today, we can get the
Oh.
thing, because it was like right at that 2-week limit
Yeah.
to post a hearing.
Oh, that's good.
So we're going with the 10th?
I guess let's go with that, let me just, I mean, I can email if Deb can't make it. I'll send an email when I get home, just confirm. Why don't we go with that, and then I guess if somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
So all in favor?
Aye.
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 I